What is good, everybody, and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Weekday Wagers, where if you're not watching us live, unfortunately, you're already a little bit behind. But if you are catching us on the replay, don't worry, there's still time to catch up. We got a ton of stuff to cover today. Our best bets, our Light the Lamp, something a little special happened last night with the Light the Lamp. And of course, we got to talk about that national championship football game. Congratulations to the Hoosiers, as DG would say. But before we get into that, let's take a look at last night as far as the picks. Wow. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to give you an excuse by myself. Rob, how you doing today?
What's up, Mark? I got plenty of excuses. Those X's look terrible. But if y'all listen to us, we gave you 2 national championship picks. I know mine hit and yours hit. I also gave you 3 picks on Nathan McKinnon alone to get a goal at plus money, 2 points at minus 120, and 3 points at plus 255 that also hit. So we covered you a little bit if you watched live.
Yeah, and he had a day last night. But before we get into hockey, because there was a ton of hockey stuff that I do want to get into with you, the national championship game last night. I mean, Indiana came out and just seemed to manhandle Miami and really out-toughed Miami. I was a little shocked by that. Your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, the first half was really slow. That over even the 35.5, I was like, oh, crap, this parlay's not hitting. But they came out, and Miami gave them every hit. I mean, they lit up Mendoza early and often. A couple of times I thought it might have been called, but they didn't, which Indiana just rolled with it, right? And then Kurt Cignetti, that fourth down play call to get the first down towards the end just took massive cojones. And hey, hats off to Indiana, and hats off to he was on when we were at the DTL days. It was Brian Tonsani, huge Indiana fan. So really happy for him and his family. Ain't nobody that deserves that any more than those guys, because they've been on that train way before it was a train.
And I'll tell you what, you know, I do have a lot of respect for Miami. This is going to kill me as a Notre Dame fan. I have to respect what Miami did in that game. And as far as their performance throughout the playoffs, right? I mean, they really stepped up, and it's that whole, okay, we're a 10th seed, but who cares? We ended up in the national championship game because we handled our business. So a lot of respect to them for doing what a lot of people didn't expect them to do.
Yeah, and to me, the best defensive line in the country. Hands down, I still think they had the best defensive line in the country. You just fell short. You've got Mendoza versus Beck. Mendoza's winning probably 9 times out of 10. Beck kind of became Beck there towards the end. I do feel a little bit bad for Beck because it was the memes were a-flowing after that game. So I hope he stayed off social media.
Yeah, and it's brutal. I mean, because that's just more of a testament of the day and age that we live in now. That this is sports in this world, and yeah, they were flowing fast and furious. What else was flowing is in the middle of the national championship game on the ice. We have Sergei Bobrovsky of the Panthers leaving the crease to go jump into a fight and take on, Alex Nedeljkovic.
Nedeljkovic, yeah.
I've watched the replays on that, and Bobrovsky is just locked in. He's like, this is going to happen. We're going down. And he went down and handled his business. I know you saw it. What are your thoughts?
It was a good scrum, and then it ended up Bobrovsky landed on his back, and the young kid got him on the ground. I think my favorite part was watching the bench and seeing Macklin Celebrini just hyped up like a frat guy in the middle of a frat scrum somewhere. Like, that was, I think, my favorite part of that fight. But, yeah, a goalie fight, I'm always here for a good goalie fight.
That was insane, because it takes him a couple seconds, right, to cross the ice, so you know what's coming. It's just like, with all that padding on there, I just saw the collision. You know what it reminded me of? You know those giant inflatable balls that people go running into each other and you start bouncing off? And that's exactly what that reminded me of.
Yeah, it did. And it was like all the other players just turned around and just started watching. Like the whole fight with everybody else is over. It's like, oh, we have a goalie fight. Never mind. Let's just put our swords down and watch this for a minute.
We got some entertainment on the ice. This morning, some breaking news out of the NFL. Robert Saleh, hired by the Tennessee Titans. I just put up a short on why I think this is such a horrible, horrible idea for the Titans, and that the dumpster fire in Nashville continues to burn. Right before we came on, you and I were having a conversation about it, and you have maybe a differing opinion.
Yeah, I'll leave it at this. I think his stint in New York was more of just New York's a bigger dumpster fire than Tennessee. And when he was there, their defense was elite. They were a legit defense. He had no help around him offensive coordinator-wise, and yet they picked Zach Wilson as their first-round pick, and we all see what he's doing now. He's on, like, MILF Island or somewhere doing nothing. But now I think he comes to a Titan situation where he's learned his lesson. He got his swing back coaching for the Niners, which that defense was mauled with injuries. I mean, let's say it what it is. That defense was put together with duct tape and hopes and dreams. I think he's coming into a Titans team now with a star quarterback in the making, and I think he could get that defense back on track as well. It's all up to ownership. Amy Adams Strunk is the female version of Jerry Jones. She just doesn't talk her business in front of the public. She does it behind her cronies. So it depends on his staff before I'm really invested. But first initial thoughts, I don't hate it because I think he'll instill some toughness and he'll bring the defense back. You just got to hit a home run with your offensive coordinator hire.
So here's my challenge with that, is that you have such a great defense. And I'm not taking away anything from Robert Saleh. I think defensively, he is one of the best in the league right now from a defensive standpoint, as far as coordinating and putting together schemes to handle offenses. There's no question. So hands down, absolutely agree with that 100%. How does that translate to developing a young quarterback like Cam Ward? And I mean, the only thing that we have really to base this on, the foundation, is with Zach Wilson. And that went down in flames horribly. And it arguably has hampered a Zach Wilson career instead of helped him prosper and move along.
Yeah. And you're right about that. If you're leaving it up to Saleh to develop the quarterback and get him going, it won't turn out well. That's why I'm saying the offensive coordinator and the passing game coordinator, those have to be home run hires, which, I would know the Titans were heavily invested in Harbaugh before he went to the Giants. So it seems like they want to spend the money. They want to get good guys there. They also have a new stadium opening up. So you're going to have to really hit a home run and see a lot more improvement than what you saw this year, which I think towards the end of the year, even their defense was a lot better towards the end of the year. And Cam Ward really started to shine. You're going to have to give him an offensive line around him, and you're going to have to get him a quarterback's coach or an offensive coordinator that's going to kind of work with his strengths a little bit better.
Well, as Boogie points out, Saleh should grab McDaniels as his OC. And Joe, I love this. Broncos are wishing they had Wilson still. Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. Broncos are wishing they had anybody except who they have to put in for the AFC Championship game this weekend. How do you think that goes with Cam Ward?
There's a lot of potential. You have a good running back in Tony Pollard. I think you probably should add another running back because Pollard is getting up there and he's more of that third down pass catching back. I think you got to get him a bigger back that can do those hard runs, like on 3rd and goal if you need short yardage. I don't think you need to rely on him. And you got to get him an offensive line before the kid can even have a chance. Like the kid was always running around on his back. Like the offensive line is a much need for the Titans, and that's where they should invest heavily in the draft starting this year.
I agree. And as Preston points out, since we were talking about Denver quarterback issues, he's upsetting the world. I'll tell you what world he is upsetting, and that's the Denver Bronco fandom world, because they're a little upset that he's their starting quarterback. And no, I am not doing any more wagers against the Denver Broncos. I'm done this year with that. What's that?
I was going to say we're getting like 18 inches of snow in Tennessee this weekend. It makes it appealing, but that would mean that I have to cheer for the Patriots to win, and I don't want the Patriots to win, so I'm not taking that bet either.
Well, let's kind of do a little bit of a look ahead then. And if you take the banter out of all of this, what chance realistically does Denver have? I mean, they have that stout defense, so 100% their defense is going to keep them in this game. Do you think that they can put it together enough offensive packages for this guy to learn in a week and to get comfortable for them to have a shot?
Well, it's going to have to rely heavily on their run game, which is what I said last week. I didn't trust R.J. Harvey in the backfield. He's a younger guy. I know J.K. Dobbins could be back. I know they've been talking about how he's progressing, which if you get J.K. back, that would help you out tremendously. You flip it around, though, I do trust their secondary to be able to make Drake May make some mistakes. I think he could make some mistakes against that secondary. Their problem is their rush defense. Like James Cook went for over 100 against them. And New England's got Ramondre and Travion Henderson, both the two-headed monster that I think New England's also going to try to lean heavy on their run game. So it's going to have to be stopping Travion and Ramondre. If you can do that, you have a legit chance in this game. But as far as points being scored, I don't know how many points are actually going to be scored in this one.
Okay. And let's shift gears to the NFC. You got Sam Darnold favored over Matthew Stafford. Make that make sense to me.
It has to do with where the game's being held, right? And the fact that the last time these two teams met, Darnold did get that huge win, and then he did a 2-point conversion to send it to overtime, and then in overtime sealed the deal. So I think, too, the Rams are kind of beat up right now. Devontae has a hamstring. Their running back situation, those guys are banged up. So they're coming in limping, and they're also coming into the 12th man, which is not an easy place to play. Right. Kenneth Walker is also, like I said, McVay watches the show. He said, thanks for the information to let Walker carry the bulk of the carries. I think he's going to have another big game this weekend too.
Well, I'll tell you this. Growing up, I grew up in Washington State, went to high school in Spokane, Washington, and we had a chance to go over and watch some Seattle Seahawks games in the Kingdome at the time. That was the loudest. My ears hurt. It was like standing next to a jet engine. And I just remember seeing the decibel meter that they used to have up there to register the crowd noise. And it was definitely, you couldn't hear anything in there. It is a very, very difficult environment. I know it's two different stadiums, but the feel of the fans are the same. And they are going to make life miserable for Matthew Stafford and company.
Agreed. And that's a fan base, too, that's just clamoring to get back to the Super Bowl. Because the last taste they have is, like I said yesterday, that pass to Marshawn Lynch that was picked off that sealed their fate. So they're also a fan base that's hurting for another Super Bowl victory.
All right. Well, listen, I can't wait because tomorrow we might have a little look, there's only 2 games. Are we going to have enough people for that plop up on Robbie's radar?
If we have anybody, it may be just from that Rams and Seattle game. I wanted to look last night, but taking your word, full disclosure, I was so into that college football playoff game that I did not even open the laptop. I was head first into that game and didn't even think about looking at anything else.
Fair enough. You know what else can get that distracting is when you're able to put together some really good food. And you know what helps me? This always.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Seabass, the only 5-star chef in the game. We all know sports betting is full of bad beats and tough calls, but when it comes to flavor, there's no second guessing. Bassett's Blends is the plus EV lock of every meal. We don't need a stinking model. Crafted with winning spices and bold taste, Bassett's Blends comes in 3 flavors, original, hot, and no salt, that's going to turn chicken, steak, vegetables, any dish into a can't-miss cover every night. With Bassett's Blends, there's no bad beats, no flavor fades, just guaranteed greatness. Check out the link right here where you can pick up your Bassett's Blends for a guaranteed lock every single night.
I love it. And you want to get spicy? Let's get spicy tonight. I'm going to take Connor McDavid for 4+ shots. I know I've talked bad about the shots on goal, but this is a guy that you can rely on, especially at home. He's cleared this in 10 straight. Leon Draisaitl will not be back in the lineup till later in the week, so he's got to pick up a lot of the slack. Also, this is kind of a 2-part play because if you don't like the shots, you can take Connor at 2+ points at -130. It's a little juicy, but it's something he's done in 4 straight against the Devils. So all roads lead to number 97 tonight in Edmonton. I'm taking his shots on goal 4 of them at -115, and I'm taking him at 2+ points at a nice -130.
I'll tell you what, this is a little scary because you and I are on the same page here. And I am also targeting this Edmonton game at home. But here's why, because I think they score a power play goal tonight against the New Jersey Devils. Look, New Jersey was just in Calgary last night, and they have been a very disciplined team in the sense that they don't commit a lot of penalties. You know what happened last night? The Calgary Flames knocked them around the rink, logged 22 hits against the Devils. Devils came out and got frustrated, and in an attempt to try to get back, made a lot of stupid plays, ended up taking 4 penalties, which is double their average on the year. Now they're going into an environment where Edmonton has been a power play specialist. I mean, that front line has been incredible. They're converting their power play attempts at just over 34% on the season. I love this spot for Edmonton to get a goal, not just to get a goal, but to get a power play goal here in this game. And that kind of ties into what you're thinking, right?
Agreed. Yeah, I think we can both cash these tickets. They may even get 2 power plays and score on both of them. Zach Hyman, he's been the goal scorer for Edmonton as of late. But for some reason, I feel like tonight's Connor's night. He'll get his shots, but I also think one of his points is going to be via a goal.
Well, it's funny you bring up Mr. Hyman, because guess who landed on our Light the Lamp list today? And before I go off, and I mean, obviously you can read these, but for those listening on Spotify, I will get to the list here in just a second. I do want to point out something, Rob, is that this Light the Lamp is really designed for who we think is going to score a goal. But I am telling you, it is such a valuable tool when it comes to dropping it down maybe just a little bit and looking at a points instead of a goal scoring parlay. Because while last night, off of the list of 5, only one of the list of 5 scored a goal last night. All 5 of them registered a point. Tonight, if you listed all 5, put all 5 in a parlay to score a point, you'd be looking at a plus 403 point parlay out of 5 guys that we think have a great chance to score a goal. So I love this. We're going to go with Nikita Kucherov at plus 110, Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov at plus 115, the aforementioned Zach Hyman at 125, Kyle Connor at 125, and your guy Philip Forsberg at plus 180. Do you like anybody on this list, or are you going off the board, and why?
I honestly like all of these guys on this list. And like you were saying, their point props are usually at 1.5. So you're buying that down when you look on the sports book and you're taking it for 1+ point, not their original line at 1.5. That's where you can kind of get messed up. But I can't believe he's on your list. I'm taking Philip Forsberg at plus 180. I love this game tonight for Nashville, which is probably going to hurt my heart and break my heart tonight because they'll probably lay an egg. But your Sabres are coming off a second day of a back-to-back. They had a tough game in Carolina yesterday, and they haven't fared as well in Nashville. Guys like Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Roman Josi have all did well against Buffalo at home. Forsberg has 5 goals in his last 2 games against the Sabres, and he has 2 goals in 2 straight overall. Give me Philip Forsberg at plus 180.
You know what? You're on that end of the list. I'm going with Nikita Kucherov. Why? Just because the guy has been hot. Every single model that we have that we use as far as indicators have him at the top of the list. I was looking at his stats. I don't know if you know off the top of your head. Let me tell you right now, though. Oh, shoot, it's gone. I had it here before.
Well, I do have a play on him tonight. It wasn't his goal, even though I probably will play that as well. But his 2+ points are cash money as of late too. I think that's hitting 8 of his last 10 overall, and they're playing the Sharks, who give up the 3rd most amount of goals in the NHL right now. So I love this spot for Kucherov to get on the lamp.
Yeah, I love this spot, especially because it is the Sharks, and not that they're just giving up a ton of goals, but they have been playing some really competitive hockey, and they're really forcing teams to get more offensively minded, especially when they play. They're beating a lot of teams that they shouldn't be beating, and to your point, it kind of goes hand in hand with like Philip Forsberg. The Sabres last night played a 2-1. They lost 2-1 in Carolina. It was a very close game. They had lots of chances to win that game. But I think they're coming in with tired legs tonight. That was a very it was a hard fought game. So I love Philip Forsberg to get on the score sheet. But that's also why I'm backing Nikita in this spot, is because I think that we get a San Jose Sharks team that will force them to really turn it up offensively. And I like him to motivate that offense.
Yeah, 100%. And San Jose just got Will Smith back, who on that top line with Celebrini is also having a great season when he's healthy. And Nate pointed it out, when Brandon Bussey is in net for Carolina, which I'm not sure why he is not their number one right now, because when he's out there, man, you can't get anything by him. He is a stud goalie. But they always keep going to this three-headed monster with him, Frederick Anderson, and the other guy. I can't think of his name. Stick with Bussey, because your team plays much better, and they are able to play their game when Bussey's in there. They don't like those high-scoring games from what I've watched at Carolina. It's more like I'd rather beat you 2-1, 2-0. And with Bussey in that, they can play their game to a T.
And I will tell you, I was watching that game yesterday. That was a absolute clinic in goaltending. And in all fairness, UPL as well for Buffalo, he did a fair job. He made some saves that were incredible. But to your point, Brandon Bussey was standing on his head. It was just incredible what he was doing to stop shots. And Taj Thompson had one that was point blank that he makes 9 times out of 10, and Bussey got there and shut him down. So it was great.
Even the announcers were kind of shocked at that. I don't even think they knew what was happening on that one.
Absolutely. And Taj says, give me Zach Hyman at plus 125. Look, I agree with you, Rob. I think any one of those 5 guys has the potential to not just score a point, but to actually score a goal. So I love that look as well. Kochetkov.
That's the other goalie in Carolina. Appreciate it. I can never remember that guy's name.
Pytor Kochetkov.
Yeah.
Pytor. I laugh. So, hey, Moshe, good to see you. He says, what's up? What's the play today? We just gave out a bunch of them. Any bonus plays that you have, Rob?
I'll keep it with Nikita Kucherov. You're able to still get him at 2+ points at minus 120. I really, really wish that the sportsbooks hadn't caught on to Darren Radish, because his point prop was plus money for like 2 weeks straight. It went to minus 115 to minus 130, and now it's at like minus 175 for him to get a point. So if you're looking at Darren Radish, you may try to switch to the assist. He's on that top power play with Kucherov, but if you're looking at Radish, look for the assist. If you're looking for Kucherov, goal or 2+ points is still in play for me in that game.
I like it. Look, college football is done.
Sad.
It's Tuesday night. What do you during this time of year, as you start looking ahead, right? Because NFL is starting to wind down and we start shifting gears. I know you and I start digging in on the hockey stuff with some NBA, some college basketball, but primarily hockey. What do you start looking for, or are you doing anything different as you start to approach the rest of the hockey season?
Really just waiting for the break, because I know that the Olympics are coming up, so they're going to get their break soon. Usually around that time is when, before the break, I bet heavy, because it seems like the guys are motivated and they're ready for a break. It's unlike other sports where they usually take the night off. It seems like hockey goes 10 toes down. And then it's that week or so after the break where you lift your foot off the gas. You look at guys who normally, like the younger guys who don't get on the score sheet as much, they're usually the ones that come through the most. So once we get over this hump of the Olympics, it's really going to be dialed into NHL and getting ready for the playoffs. I'm in a fantasy hockey league. I'm like, gosh, fantasy playoffs are about to start. And what feels like really, really soon. And right now for me, it's just that winter depression. Football is ending and it's cold. We think we're getting like 18 inches in Tennessee of snow this weekend, which I hate. Like, it's just trying to get over that hump and get into March and get into playoff form is what I really start looking forward to.
Yeah, and as Joe says, let's get into baseball mode. Although, look, and to your point, Joe, this just could be watching the Dodgers win another one and figuring out, who their victim is with the talent that they have lined up in the roster that they have. Kind of tough for me to get into that look ahead to baseball, though, at this point.
When I see some trades, I kind of start getting the itch back a little bit. I know that the Mets got Bo Bichette. You know, when you start seeing guys like that don't go to the Dodgers, like have you ever seen a collective fan base like Red Sox, Yankees fans? Everybody's in agreement that we don't want this to continue. And as a guy who bets player props, I really want it to stop because 2027 is right around the corner. And if this keeps going the way it is, there will be a strike, and then I'm going to be looking for something else to bet on. I know EC said I should get into golf, and I don't want to get into golf. I don't want to get into tennis. I want my baseball player props to get me through the summer.
There's good news. There's good news, though.
What's that?
We have the WNBA and
Right.
the Golden State Valkyries.
We do. My Valkyries. I almost forgot about them. You're right. You're right. The Valkyries, it'll be a Valkyrie-heavy summer that summer.
Gotcha. Well, listen, we will be back. We're going to let you get out so you can rip open that laptop, start scouting out, you know, if there's anybody that you like in the game with Denver and New England. As far as look aheads, I want to thank all of you for joining us today. The chat is always buzzing. Love it. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Really, really does. We appreciate it. It helps us grow so much. With that, we're going to get on out of here. Rob, you and I will be back here tomorrow, 2:00 Eastern, hopefully with the little Robbie's radar. Make sure you tune in for that. You know what I almost forgot?
People's parlay.
People's parlay.
Yep.
What do we have? We're going with Ohio State on the money line for a plus 152 play. That video will be up here shortly. So you have Robbie's leg, you have my leg. Yes, your Robbie's play, my play, and the chat's play. So we'll go with that instead of the legs. That being said, listen, thank you again. Let's go cash these tickets. Be kind to one another. We'll see you tomorrow.